Before I start the official ceremony, I want to ask her mother to come up and say a few words to you. Please.
Annemarie was a lovely child who grew into a lovely woman, always positive, always caring for others. As a child, she was so creative, always crafting things, making little bracelets from flowers and stuff like that, pottering and tinkering around. Later on, she put glitter and glamour on her denim jacket and was always a lady, with full makeup and her nails a piece of art. As a mother, she continued her creativity with her children and her children's friends. She had just started her own business, a nail studio, when in 2014 she felt a sharp pain that just got worse over time. It was when an X-ray was made that her nightmare had started, lung cancer, stage 4. It was made clear way that one day we would be standing here, and that she would die from this disease, and that she wouldn't be around to see her children grow up. In the last 5 years of her life, she fought like a lioness to stay with them for as long as she could. Radiotherapy, chemotherapy, targeted therapy, immunotherapy. The uncertainty, waiting for results, the nausea, the pain, the side effects, the hope. And in spite of all suffering, she decided to fight against the industry that was killing her, the tobacco industry. Not for money, not for herself, but for her children, for all the children. Her bravery and her perseverance is something I always be proud of. And I will always tell my grandchildren what a fantastic mother they had.
Thus it has pleased Almighty God to take out of this transitory life unto his divine mercy the body of Anne-Marie, ashes to ashes and dust to dust.
Annemarie's mother has written a letter to the CEO of Holland's largest supermarket chain store, explaining who she is and asking for an interview. To her surprise, she's invited to the head office for a private meeting.
Come in. Please sit down. And let me start by saying I'm so sorry for your loss. You asked to see me. What can I do for you?
Well, like I explained in my letter, my daughter, Annemarie, she died because of your cigarettes you're selling in your supermarket. And she really was devastated when she realized she couldn't be around to protect her children when they grew up. She even started a lawsuit against the tobacco industry. And now I'm here. What can I do now that my daughter is dead? So I ask you, please help me and stop selling those cigarettes.
I can see how this is an important issue to you. But you must understand, cigarettes is a legal product, and it's up to the consumer who has the freedom of choice to either smoke or not to smoke.
My daughter was addicted. She tried so hard to quit.
Yes, well, there are a lot of cessation clinics out there, and did your daughter ever go to her GP for help? And besides, where will it all end? Next thing you know, we won't be able to sell chocolates. People can get diabetes if they eat too many chocolates. But I am proud to say we are cutting down on sugar. Of course, we feel the responsibility to nudge our consumers into a healthier lifestyle. Our fruit and vegetable departments have our greatest priorities. And for vegetarians, we have some really lovely meat substitutes, like our new chicken nuggets. They're full of proteins. You should try them one day.
But we, the parents and the grandparents, we totally defenseless against the walls of cigarettes you're selling. You're supposed to look after the little ones. aren't you? It's in your slogan, isn't it?
Yes, well, of course we'll look after the little ones, but we have to look after our shareholders as well. Do you know how much money is involved? I mean, the smokers, they come into our store because they really need to smoke. And once they're in, they think, oh, I might as well buy peanut butter and toilet paper. And before you know it, they've done the groceries for the rest of the week. And that's how we maintain our sales. And that's how we can keep people employed. Now, you wouldn't want all our employees to become redundant now, would you?
If 4 people get diarrhea from a product they bought in your shop, in your supermarket, then like a rotten fish or a contaminated salmon, you immediately put a recall to get the product back. But with tobacco killing 20,000 people a year in the Netherlands, you just let it go.
Yes, well, of course we'll consider not selling tobacco products, but what we really need is a level playing field. I'm sure you'll understand. If we stop selling cigarettes and our competitors in the field, the other supermarkets, go on selling the cigarettes, that could mean some very dissatisfied shareholders. Now, we wouldn't want that now, would we?
But my grandchildren.
Yes, well, what children need is a firm hand and a good education, and then they can make their own intelligent choices in life. Wait, you could go to high schools and tell high school children not to smoke, that it's dangerous. Now, that's a good idea. Come along, I'll bring you to my secretary. She'll show you the way to the corporate responsibility department. I'll give them a ring, and I'm sure they can help you set up an educational program. Okay, well, good day. It was so lovely talking to you.
This was theater, copied from real life. But Annemarie, she died.
And we are pulmonologists. We treat people with lung cancer and COPD. But we are also anti-tobacco activists outside of the hospital. We've had countless media attention. We've been in a lot of television programs, radio programs, statements in newspapers. And Wanda here has been voted Media Woman of the Year twice. And this is why. When we start our training as a pulmonologist, your mind is totally overwhelmed with all the things you have to learn, the new things. And what you see is that it's really difficult to get used to how to do a bronchoscopy, how to place a chest tube, how to prescribe chemotherapy, how to tell a person he's going to die. And it's only after you master all of that, because you've done it for 1,000 times, that a sort of helicopter view arises. And with that, the realization that all this suffering, all this pain, could have been prevented.
Try to imagine that would be your job. That most of the work you're doing is trying to fix something that shouldn't have been broken at all. Like a plumber who's called out every night, 80% of the time, for a leak that's being broken by an individual tampering with the waterworks. If you keep on doing that day by day, year in, year out, there comes a day that you want to stop it.
Well, that's what we thought when we were sitting across from each other at a social do. It was a barbecue, I think, 10 years ago. And we were talking about the way tobacco has its effects on our patients. And Wanda said, let's stop this. And so we wrote a smoking cessation self-help book, and it actually does help quite a lot of people to quit. But that is not enough. This secondary prevention, it is not enough. As the tobacco industry kills at least half of its consumers, they relentlessly pursue young children to become the replacement smokers of the dead and dying tobacco victims.
School children buy their cigarettes in supermarkets. Behind the counter, there's a classmate who's hesitant to ask for the ID from their peer.
This system, in which this drug that is more addictive than morphine or cocaine, is made easily accessible for children through the dealers. And by that, I mean the supermarkets that sell the stuff.
Yeah. And when they sell this stuff, they don't realize that every day 75 children start smoking in the Netherlands. 2 out of 3 children who light up just one cigarette becomes a daily smoker. Half of them will die due to a tobacco-related disease. On every street, on every corner, there's a dealer selling his lethal product for a profit.
And we all know the tobacco industry has no moral compass at all. They're a lost case for humanity. But the dealers, the supermarkets, they have their corporate responsibility department. And in the newspapers, they never fail to state that they want to nudge their consumers to make healthy life choices. I want to make people help choose a carrot instead of a biscuit, is what one of them said recently.
But well, how then do does the supermarket respond when you ask this? Well, what they do, they repeat the 5 mantras of the tobacco playbook. 1, it's a legal product.
Yes, well, history has taught us that legality is a matter of power and money and lobby, and has nothing to do with what is morally a just cause. I mean, colonialism was legal and slavery was legal at one point, and so was burning witches at the stake.
2, to smoke or not to smoke is a personal freedom of choice.
Well, so is snorting heroin or cocaine, but we don't sell them in supermarkets either, do we? This freedom of choice thing is a really difficult nut to crack, especially with the die-hard Liberal Party followers. The philosopher Isaiah Berlin put it this way: you have 2 concepts of liberty. 1, you can choose to do something, like to wear black shoes or brown shoes, but you also have the concept of being free from something, like I'm free from school or free from sickness. In addiction, you have to be free from withdrawal symptoms to be totally free. Addiction is like a jail. And in heroin addiction, at least the stuff is really pretty hard to come by. And therefore, heroin addicts can walk away from its toxic environment. But cigarettes are sold on every street corner, making it really difficult for those who want to quit.
Well, 3, if we have to stop selling cigarettes, what do we do with alcohol and chocolates and all the stuff that makes us fat?
Yes, well, the cigarette is a unique nicotine delivery device created to get nicotine to the brain in the fastest possible way. In order to understand addiction, it's important to know that the faster a substance hits the brain and has its effect on dopamine, the more addictive it is. And as you can see on this slide, nicotine can only be compared to amphetamine. Cocaine and morphine are less addictive. And just one more slide. Alcohol kills 1,700 people a year in Holland. Tobacco kills 20,000 people a year. Tobacco is a unique product, unique in its deadliness, in its addictiveness, and its availability. Take away the availability, and then you can compare it to, say, heroin or crystal meth.
Okay, 5. Also, supermarkets say they want to stop selling tobacco when there is a level playing field. In other words, they only want to stop selling cigarettes if all other supermarkets will stop selling cigarettes.
Now, where have I heard that before? I'll jump if you jump too. I think it's kindergarten. If one is indeed the largest supermarket chain store in Holland and claims to look after the little ones and claims to want to promote a healthy lifestyle, then put your money where your mouth is and stop selling the deadliest product on this earth.
You can make the difference. Please stand up now. Call to action.
Call to action.
Okay. Take out your mobile phone. Take out your mobile phone and please make a picture of this slide. To whom it may concern. And please send this picture to the next email address. We will make sure, we will collect all the emails and we send them to all the supermarkets in the Netherlands and relevant politicians. So we can make it if all the big corporate dealers are stopped selling tobacco, if all the corporate dealers stopped selling tobacco and we only can buy cigarettes in very tiny, small tobacco shops, which with a license to sell or a license to kill, as you wish, then probably we grow into a generation without tobacco. Tobacco will fade away from our lives with all the suffering and pain it causes. And our children will be free, a total new generation without an addiction. And you can say, we were there. We made it happen. We stopped the dealers.
And then Anne-Marie will not have died in vain. She's not around anymore to protect her children. So that's what we can do. It's the least we can do, to honor a very brave person who, in the face of death, did everything she could to make sure others would not follow her fate.